of the economic situation and, of course, the challenges facing the investment climate and generating trade and job creation. We have heard a lot that MP Paris spoke to, particularly as it relates to the very serious challenges we face in the economy and therefore in the society, and the linkage between economy and society. So we appreciate that very much. Ladies and gentlemen of the press and members of the public, I would speak for a few minutes on a couple issues that engage our attention as we go into the debate on the budget and the speech of the Minister of Finance tomorrow on this 2023 fiscal package. Before I do that, I just wanted to indicate that on the last occasion I spoke, I believe at a Monday night forum, I did warn the country of a very serious and grave danger that we face when we are dealing with what appears to be a dictatorial regime. And now that we have the dictatorial regime operating now, synchronizing with what is a crashed economy, not just a failed economy, but a crashed economy in which it requires enormous amount of rebuilding, as MP Parry indicated. So last week I spoke of this issue of the dictator and indicated that even in recent developments, when we saw certain matters unfolding involving, for example, the Chief Whip, Dr. David Lee, in the recent past, I had made an issue that Minister Imbert particularly appeared to have had knowledge of that matter way before any police investigation, way before the conduct of any prosecution, and so on. I don't want to speak too much about that. That matter is properly now before the court, and I will not speak to it. But I just wanted to remind the national community that in the budget debate in 2020, on the 14th of October, specifically the 14th of October 2020, the Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, spoke on that matter in the budget debate. And I'm just quoting from one line that the Prime Minister of all people said in October 2020, 14th October. And he said, and I quote, and this is from the Hansard records, so it is incidentally, it is a public document. And I quote from this, and he said, and I quote, "So when my colleague from Siparia invite me to join her, I would say, yes, I would join you. Because when your colleagues buy a vehicle for $2 million and enjoys $1 million off in tax exemption, and the vehicle is for the use of someone else, then we need to look at exemptions," unquote. Now I raise this matter to remind the national community that the Prime Minister of all people spoke on this in Parliament over 2 years ago, long before a police investigation. And therefore this matter has been polluted, corrupted by the political hands and the political fingerprints of Colm Imber, Minister of Finance, and Keith Rowley, the Prime Minister. And that is a very, very alarming revelation, because it means that we are now in a reign of terror where politicians themselves are pushing, are instigating, are agitating criminal proceedings against political opponents. And that is something we continue to warn this country about. Ladies and gentlemen, the front page of a headline of a newspaper today, the Commissioner of Police is pleading, well, plead mean to beg, begging with trigger-happy men, give up your guns, give up your guns. This is the front page of a newspaper today. And that article speaks to the fact that police in Trinidad and Tobago, the police have seized 7,000 guns in the last decade. 7,000. And it begs the question, how many guns are out there in addition to the 7,000 seized? And this is why today this society is now eroding rapidly under the weight of crime and criminality and the brutality of that crime. A few days ago, there was a horrific incident at Pennywise in South Trinidad, Laramine, in which several persons were killed. The government has a very morbid approach to criminal activity. They say in a almost macabre way that if it is that bad men kill good men, then other good men should kill bad men. That is a macabre approach because it suggests that there is no value in human life, that good people must die for bad people to die. And the government takes credit and will want to say it with, in a triumphant manner that the police eventually killed the persons who are allegedly the bandits and the murderers and so on. And we commend the work of the police always, for responding and so on with alacrity and for meeting and treating with certain situations. But it is not good. It is not a triumph that good people die and even bad people in a hail of gunfire and so on. This is not where the society has to go. That is the wild, wild west. And the government and Minister Hines should take no credit for situations like that and look to pose and make pictures and media and so on doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is the national budget. And I am telling the country today, from where I sit, it appears that we are in for a rough road ahead. I tell the people of Trinidad and Tobago, expect more hardship. Expect more hardship. I have listened attentively to the disturbing narrative emanating from the government, particularly Colm Imber and the Prime Minister, in their spotlight on the economy or whatever they call it earlier this month, when they spoke of the issue of the fuel subsidy. And bearing in mind what they have been saying, that they want to cap the subsidy, they will increase the price of fuel tomorrow. And I warn this country, what is the time now? Almost 11:30 maybe. We are about 36 hours away from an increase in fuel prices because they are looking at capping the subsidy. In Denmark, I think just 3 days ago or so, in Denmark, the parliament met, and a progressive government, what it did, given the COVID and the challenge of business and so on, pt1. In Denmark, they put a cap on fuel prices. So progressive governments around the world are capping fuel prices, meaning the consumer, the citizen, will not pay X amount more for fuel. In Trinidad, they are capping the subsidy, meaning fuel price will go up because they are capping subsidy. So that we are expecting within 36 hours or so an increase in the price of fuel. And I tell people we are going to move from COVID to chaos. When the prices go up for transportation, to take children to the school, for the cost of the maxi taxi, the taxi drivers, we already have a situation where the roads, as MP Parry alluded to, where the roads are in a chaotic state. The taxi driver, the maxi driver and so on, the ordinary owner of a vehicle, pay much more to maintain and upkeep a vehicle today because the roads are not worthy. It's an amazing thing in this country. They charge you if your car is not roadworthy. But we should charge the government because the roads are not car worthy. That is what we should do. But today, I can tell you that given all that the minister has said in the last spotlight and what they have been building for, is an increase in the price of fuel. And when that happens tomorrow, that will cause chaos and hardship, and the country should brace itself for that reality almost tomorrow. We have already spoken about the crisis in the cost of living, the price of food. In other parts of the world, the price of food is actually going down given international developments in that sector, in the agricultural sector. It is going up in Trinidad and Tobago. And I don't have to tell people the price of food. You go to the supermarket, you purchase. What was the price of flour years ago? What it is today? You know it. What was the price of vegetables? What is the price of meats and so on? You know it. So that we have a crisis with the cost of living. We have a crisis with crime and insecurity. We have a crisis with joblessness. In the last 7 years, the NIB records that 112,000 persons, or 112,000 less, have been contributing to NIB, have been contributing with their payments. So it tells you that people are no longer working because they cannot pay national insurance. They are not working. 112,000 persons have presumably lost their jobs. So we have a crisis of joblessness. And tomorrow you expect a decent, mature, progressive Minister of Finance to address the issue of job creation. You cannot fuel the economy without jobs. And we expect job creation. But I want to warn the country that I don't think he will speak anything about creating jobs. In fact, he may speak about taking away jobs and closing down sectors as they did with the scrap iron industry. We warn the country crime will increase when you close down that industry, scrap iron. Now the minister will come, they are giving laws and want to draft laws for the sectors and so on, which they could have done in 7 years. 7 years you can draft regulations and laws and amend the very archaic legislation that governs scrap metal and so on. What the minister will do now, we told the minister and the government, all you had to do was increase the fines for trading in illegal scrap metal and so on. Increase the fines, increase the punitive measures, and you will deal with that while the industry continues with the legitimate business enterprises and so on, generating employment, critical foreign exchange in that sector. But the government will not hear. They close the scrap iron sector. Crime is